This is the Millennials in Multifamily podcast, brought to you by Kronos Investment Partners. We interview industry experts to unlock key information that will help young professionals break into the multifamily world in order to create long-term and short-term wealth. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to iTunes and leave a rating and written review so we can reach more listeners.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Millennials in Multifamily podcast. I'm your host, John Stober, with my co-host, Fritz Ritter, and today our guest is Brandon Elliot. Brandon is based out of San Diego, California, but unlike a lot of investors, he's actually investing in his own backyard by combining the BRRRR method with the short-term rentals. He's been able to finance most of his properties by creating huge personal and business lines of credit. He also has a credit repair company that teaches others how to utilize these credit hacks that have been so paramount to scaling his real estate business. Brandon Elliot, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Millennials and Multifamily podcast. Before we really get into today's show, could you just tell us and our listeners a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you ultimately ended up investing in real estate?
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it. It was awesome having you on the podcast originally, John, and Fritz. It's awesome to connect with you now. So I'm excited, man. How I originally got started into real estate investing was, I was doing door knocking. So I was door knocking for a Kirby vacuum cleaners. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Nope.
Yeah. It's overrated, trust me, but it's door-to-door sales, It's a $3,000 vacuum cleaner, and that we're selling right then and there on the spot after our demonstration. So I became good at it. I like sales. I enjoy it. I like negotiating, and yeah, long story short, after doing that for a while, building out a team and having some success with that, I ended up getting recruited into a real estate investment company. This was back in 2012 when, out here in San Diego, there was a lot of NODs or notice of defaults, like a lot of pre-foreclosure, modification, stuff like that. And yeah, man, when I got into this office and saw just the systems all around, I got a little bit of education, but man, oh man, like the motivation in this room was unbelievable. All the money turning and how everybody was getting paid out well. And just, man, it was exciting how many people that we were actually helping out and serving and like bettering off their life in such a quick turnaround. Plus getting like there are some people in the office that were getting really, really big paychecks, which was very inspiring. Coming from a more poor background, American poor. So we were still very blessed, but nevertheless, so after that, I ended up just jumping into all the education I could, podcasts like this, YouTube, all the books I could get my hands on for real estate investing, found a strategy that I love, which is the BRRRR strategy. So buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. And then I jumped after trying out here for 2 years. In San Diego, I couldn't get my feet wet because I was going against real investors, all cash, no contingencies, stuff that I do now to be competitive. I found myself investing over in Ohio. We built a nice little portfolio over there, great cash flow, and that allowed me to quit my job and start focusing more in other areas of real estate as well.
So how come you ultimately decided to start out in Ohio?
Yeah, so after 2 years and literally, I think it was, I don't want to exaggerate or anything. I was going to say 50, but I know at the bare minimum, we submitted at least 30 plus, like 35 plus, purchases, trying to get an offer accepted out here. But we were doing it with financing. I was trying to get a deal. There's not deals out here when you're financing and when you're looking on the MLS, just being straightforward, so it made it difficult, just because I was so fresh. So I started looking in other states. I looked in New Jersey because that's where I'm originally from. I looked in Arizona because it was close. I looked in, all these other states, and there wasn't anything that like really set me off. And in Ohio, I ended up getting recommended by 3 different people in the same week. So that was like a little red flag to me. I was like, all right, let me check it out. Once I started doing my due diligence, I found out that most of the areas made sense. So I just wanted to kind of find which little area I really gravitated towards next.
So how did you get the confidence to invest out of state without actually being there? I mean, what are some of the things you had to do to feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of people can't wrap their heads around like investing 3,000 miles away. They need to see the asset. And honestly, I'm more of a control freak myself. So it's like if I would have invested my first deal right next to me or in my backyard, I would have been there every day, like several times a day. It would have been a total time suck. So I'm blessed that we were forced into building systems around our business, right? And that helped out a lot. But I've always been a risk taker at the end of the day. Once the numbers made sense to me, and how I did it was do a lot of due diligence here, 3,000 miles away first, getting on all the phone calls, building relationships, as many as I could, so that I felt pretty comfortable when I actually planned out a trip out there and bringing my lady with me. I felt more confident, like, okay, well, at least I got an arsenal of relationships and properties that we can take a look at. The worst case scenario is they all suck. All these relationships that I thought were good, they all hate me or whatever. And then I'm packing my bags and come back home. But it turned out to be decent. It turned out to be good. We found 5 deals that we wanted to submit offers on. Out of originally it was 100, narrowed it down to 60, 30 really quick. And then 5 was the lucky number, but we got 2 out of the 5 accepted pretty quick, just go back and forth into negotiations.
So what did some of those systems look like that you had to create? Like, was it just deal flow, or is it kind of management too?
Yeah, it's definitely management. That was my biggest issue because with the BRRRR strategy, you're buying distressed properties. You're buying beat up properties that require renovations, So our first property, it was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, great bone structure, but it was outdated. The outside was great, actually. Just needed power wash, stuff like that, and new front porch. But besides that, the whole inside needed to be like, kitchens, bathrooms gutted, floor, paint, light fixtures, all that fun stuff. The second property we closed 2 months exactly to the day later, and that was a triplex. So that one needed a light rehab, and yeah, the systems that we put in place were basically just, and I made a ton of mistakes in the beginning. I got to admit to you guys, like I made a ton of mistakes when it came down to contractors. That I do not make anymore, thankfully. But, it really just came down to managing people long distance, only dealing with referrals over time. That's what I've learned, not, just finding people online or calling up random people. That's not the best way, especially when you're young from California, where they think like you're made of money and being 3,000 miles away. That was not a good investment for me into certain contractors, but nevertheless, just the systems, and then managing tenants, making sure my lease is on point, and that just the overall like tenant and landlord relationship, like they know what to expect and how they need to take action. God forbid some type of situation happens.
So what ultimately had you coming back to San Diego, though? Like, why would you want to invest in California? Everyone's running away from California now, and here you are buying like multifamily, and you have a strategy that works out there.
Yeah. So over time, I got more properties over there. I built more confidence. We started doing fix and flips locally here. We've purchased other properties in other states as well. At this point, we've sold those off. So eventually I just got confidence. I figured out the systems and knew how to deal with contractors, people like that. And so we started taking more territory out here because of relationships. So relationships were like the key factor that has always helped me out. And so we started getting, off-market pocket listings, got some good deals, did fix and flips out here. That's cool, but it's really just a high-paying job. And I like working for myself. Like, I don't want to start a new job and just like get paid out once. It's cool here and there, but we really fell in love with the BRRRR strategy. So out here, we started picking up and doing the BRRRR strategy out here as well. To make that work, however, because the numbers are all in the million plus, we had to do creative type of short-term rentals to be able to get the income up higher for it to actually make sense. And that's what we started doing. We got a fourplex. We're doing Airbnb in. We just bought a duplex. We're doing the full remodel, adding a bedroom upstairs, adding 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom downstairs to the current layout, which is awesome. And then we're adding 2 extra ADUs that are going to be 1,200 square foot buildings separately, 3 bedroom, 1 bath. So we're going to turn this property into a fourplex as well, Airbnb, and it should treat us well, just like this previous one, the fourplex.
So could you talk about the income if you rented this out, like as a traditional rental versus Airbnb it?
Yeah. So traditionally wise, to be 100% like very, very conservative, I could easily do 2,500. I could probably, if I really wanted to, because I think we did a good job on the remodel, and it's in a great location. We could definitely probably push it. Right? We could probably push it to 3,000 per month.
A unit.
Yeah. So it is California, man. It's expensive.
It's expensive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but they are small units. It's like 650 to 750 square feet. They're not huge, but it is nice. It is fully remodeled.
So how much do you get, or how much do you think you're going to get with Airbnb-ing it? Traditionally, it'd be like 10 to 12,000, which sounds like a lot.
Yeah. So we in August we netted 22,000, and I know August is like 6 months ago, so what's there to brag about, right? But the last 2 months it has been truthfully very slow. It just started picking back up a couple weeks ago. And I think just during the holidays, as well as maybe COVID, and we were trying to do it like split test on the pricing to see if that was it. We found out it wasn't, but we recently just switched up like the wording of the names and stuff like that, and it just like an automatic shift right away. And we've been staying booked again like crazy and bringing in some great revenue again. So we'll see what the next couple months look like again to start averaging it out. But the holding costs were 9,500, and we are just finalizing the cash out refinance. Hopefully Monday or Tuesday. We finally got the final approval just the other day, so it's a huge blessing. We've been working on this since the end of August. It's crazy, but now it's going to be down from $9,500 down to $7,500 is the in and out type of expenses.
Yeah, 22 grand revenue. Nice spread.
Yeah, it's not bad, right?
So do you self-manage those, or is there a company that actually does the management for you?
Yeah, so we're very big on, in the beginning, we like to self-manage to build those systems. And also, like, before I can hire somebody out, I personally believe like I need to experience what they're going to go through so I can know how to lead them, how to guide them, and also what to look out for. Like if I just toss it on to somebody else right away, they could potentially take advantage of me if I've never done it and I don't know what to keep an eye out for. So Jennifer, my significant other, my better half, she ends up running that portion of the business just because she's like a million times more kind than I am. So she's got more patience, let's just be honest. So I handle the contractors and the rough stuff and the rental properties over in the Midwest. And then she handles the Airbnb, thankfully.
So what does day-to-day look like managing Airbnb? I have to imagine there's a lot more turnover and moving parts than a traditional rental.
Yeah, so the day-to-day with that is really just communication with, people that are booking. They typically have a boatload of questions, and we want to serve them to the best ability. We want to make it like the most amazing experience for them. We became a super host within like a month and a half, which was pretty exciting. And it really just comes down to like the grace that my lady has on just blessing each of the guests that come in and really making it a win-win situation. So we try to overcompensate and make it just really enjoyable for them with giving them gifts and certain other things. But, people are in for a certain reason, whether it's a little getaway, family, hospital visit, or, whatever it may be. So we want to try to just make it more enjoyable. And so she handles that. Also, scheduling with our cleaning lady, which that's like the secret ingredient, in my personal opinion. The secret ingredient for Airbnb, especially if you have multiple units, is the cleaning lady. Like, we did try that for literally maybe a week and never again. Like, I'm not a cleaner. I could care less for that. I don't want my lady to be doing it. It's just, that is something you 100% want to hire out right away. And we went through 2 different people. No bueno right from the start. One person lasted just a little bit. The other person, very first day, didn't last. And now we have an amazing cleaner that was referred over, once again, relationships, and she's just been like above and beyond a huge blessing for us.
Were you just like running over the properties and cleaning them when you had to fire the old cleaning people?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, hire on new people. Like, you got standards, you gotta watch them a little bit more. And the first lady, the first cleaning person, just like, I went in after they were done cleaning, and I went underneath the bed, and like my whole hand was dusty, and I was like, all these different things. I was just like, where did you clean? And then I got so frustrated that I was like, hey, can you just come in here and like show me where you actually did clean? Because I just wanted to know. And then I started like wiping my hand on top of the fridge and everything else. And it's like you spend a lot of time, and I feel bad, but you didn't clean.
Hey, you got to give it to them straight. So that kind of leads into my next question. So with these added expenses, I mean, cleaning ladies over and over again, doesn't really seem like you can build back utilities because they're not long term. Is your expense ratio a lot higher than traditional apartments?
Yeah. So the cool part about Airbnb is, we actually do, like, there's a cleaning fee that's included in there. So they have the nightly rate, which is a certain amount. And then we can, after 2 guests, we can add a $20 extra per guest, up to 6 people, because that's the max that we want in the house. Really, that's what it fits, So $20 extra per person. So we could get an extra $80 if it was maxed out. And that's per night. There's little upsells in certain other areas if they want it as well, or late checkout, like all these different things we could get extra money from. And then the cleaning fee is $150, which is very typical in the area of San Diego. However, we have, some good cleaning rates from our cleaner that it makes, we can actually profit a little bit from that as well. And just make it like that little bit that we do profit, it makes it worth it to manage the cleaner and, just talking back and forth and conversating with the guest at the time. But we are in the middle of actually getting solar panels on the property. So therefore, like, the electrical and gas and hopefully we can work in something for the water as well. Those will be covered in the future.
Oh, nice. That's a smart idea. Do you have a way of like tracking and managing your cleaning person? Because I mean, if you have guests with different stays, it's not like they're just on a traditional, like, hey, come every other week.
No, of course. Yeah. So Jennifer handles that, but she basically, as we get one booked, then we know when they're expected to leave. So we will notify the cleaner right away that, hey, this is when they are supposed to be checking out. We'll update you if there's any changes or a late checkout and so forth. But that gives her time in advance. And she's really laid back and cool. She's got some, a good crew with her as well. So they can adjust if needed, or if somebody's just in there for like one night, then, it's not ideal for her, but because she is running a business, she's got other places besides ours. But, if they can accommodate, they will. and they've never let us down. So it's been a blessing for sure.
And so with Airbnb, what type of research do you have to do to make sure like that your city or your municipality, like they're not going to implement these regulations that pretty much kill your business model?
Yeah. So I'm a big firm believer to always have backup plans. I truthfully feel that real estate investors that fail or like take a loss typically aren't fully educated on all the different creative ways of investing in real estate from the start. If they were, they would have all these different tools on their tool belt type of thing. When plan A messes up, they wouldn't jump all the way to plan Z, like they would go to B, they would try other resources to potentially get themselves out of the hole, still make it profitable, or at least just adjust. With the city of San Diego, it has been like something that, hey, we don't know what tomorrow is going to look like. But basically, before we jumped into Airbnb, we started building relationships with downtown, the Airbnb like little area, and just picking their brain, talking to every single person that works there, so that we're not just getting one-sided opinion. Like we want to make sure that the answers we're getting back from them are universal and across the board. Because up north, like in LA, they have had some issues that, they started not allowing it and in certain areas, so we don't want that to be the downside of our business if that's our best model. But like I said, the worst case scenario, have a backup plan. We would do long-term rentals if needed. And in San Diego, we'll be okay. And if it rents out for, $12,000 at the end and our mortgage interest $7,500, then we're not going to make a huge amount, but it'll be okay.
Yeah, you're still owning a property in San Diego too.
Yeah, and just so you know, like with this deal, we have no money into it at this point, and we have $500,000 in equity. And in San Diego, it's like the appreciation goes up fairly nicely in the next couple of years. So if I can hang on to it for the long run, 10 years or so, it wouldn't be a surprise if it, doubles.
Yeah, no, not at all. You got no inventory out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, that leads us perfectly into like this next section. I mean, you talked about, you didn't have the money to buy these properties when you first started looking in San Diego, and now you're into this deal for like no money down. You're pretty good with like credit card hacks, building business credit. Could you just talk about how you leverage those skills and that knowledge into, these big like $1 million deals in Southern California?
Yeah, of course. So we do have, at this point, we have a credit repair do it for you business for creditrepairmobile.com. But we also have online education that we've helped out hundreds upon hundreds of people, which has been very awesome for creditcounselelite.com. What it's done for us is basically, originally on my very first deals, I saved up $35,000, which is cool when, you come from broke or working 2 restaurant jobs like I did. But that doesn't really go too far in real estate, right? So thankfully I had good credit at the time. I still do, but I had good credit lines as well, like decent size. Some of my credit cards were $60,000, $70,000 that I just learned how to be able to get them that big. And I called up, I told them, hey, I have an investment property. I got my name on the contract right now. It needs some work, but this is what it'll be worth afterwards. They tried pushing me towards, home equity lines or whatever. I didn't want to go that route. I asked, is there any promotional deals going on with my credit cards? Is there anything that I could do to take like advantage of a balance transfer or like a cash advance, but at 0% interest? And, before I got off the phone call, I found out there were, and I was able to liquidate the money from my credit card into my bank account, wired the very next day, and had, $60,000 at 0% interest for 12 or 18 months at the time. So that bought me some time, right? And over the years, like I ran into so many people that acknowledge real estate is an awesome way to make that financial freedom, right? Or leave their job or whatever it is, but they feel like they, needed to save up money or make money in their job before they can actually, get into real estate. And that just wasn't necessarily the case for us because yes, we had 35,000, but like I said, that doesn't go that far. So the credit lines has really helped us the most. And we showed people with no money how to be able to do exactly the same thing time and time over again.
Are you struggling to understand how to underwrite multifamily properties? Hi, I'm John Stober, and I completely understand your problem. I thought underwriting would come naturally to me due to my background in finance and accounting, but I quickly found out that there aren't a lot of resources that cover this subject. I had no idea whether what I was doing was right, wrong, or just original. I don't want you to have to pick up little nuggets here and there like I did. So I wrote an ebook called How to Analyze Big Apartment Buildings and Make Them Feel Small that puts together all the pieces of the puzzle. We're also giving away a deal analyzer with the ebook, and they're both completely free. Don't wait as long as I did to start chasing financial freedom. Go to bit.ly/underwriting ebook and get your free copy today. So that $60,000 line of credit, was that a personal credit card or a business credit card?
Yeah, that's another thing. I wish I would have got into business credit a hell of a lot sooner because let's, face it, it's a business and we should be treating it more like business. If I would have started business credit a lot sooner, man, it would have took off like crazy. But yes, it was personal.
That's a big line for personal credit though. Like, how did you get a $60,000 line?
Yeah, man. So there's a bunch of different techniques, there's the more you spend on it, the more they'll give, and also if you call in, the rule of thumb is like every bank's different, so I don't want anybody that's listening to this to just jump the gun and potentially mess up their credit. Like, educate yourself first. And I can give you guys like a free gift at the end if you guys do want some education on that. But yeah, educate yourself first. And the rule of thumb is most credit cards, you can request a credit line increase every 6 months. And it's also stated income. Like if you're telling them, hey, I make 60 grand a month or a year, they're not going to give you too much of a credit line, right? Mm-hmm. And they encourage you to they could say, lottery winnings, household income. Household income means like your parent, whoever you live with, like they're really encouraging you to put as much income as possible because they know that they're going off of statistics. It's all an algorithm in their computer and it's against us, right? So they try to help us out as much as possible these days. But yeah, like I said, the rule of thumb is you can ask every 6 months for a majority. Some companies, though, you can do every month, and it really just depends. But you do want to make sure that before you request it, that it's going to be a soft pull on your credit. If it's going to be a hard pull, it's not like you might as well just apply for a brand new credit card.
And so why does nobody, start out with business credit though? Why is it all personal credit?
Yeah, because it's just easier, right? Like nobody knows. And people that do jump into business credit, let's just face it, like there's so much mix and mash out there. There's, because we own a credit company, like we teach business credit as well in Credit Counsel Elite. Like we've invested several six figures at this point, not just into ourselves and our business and our education, but networking with people and like checking out the other products that our competitors have to see like who really has the best stuff. And man, there's so much outdated stuff out there. There's some stuff that it's like, it might have worked in the past. It's not working now, or just mixed information, unfortunately. And that just shows how they're not getting the results. So yeah, I wish a lot of people that think they're jumping into business credit, they're personally guaranteeing it, and it's really just going off of their personal credit.
So how is this line of credit better than hard money? Isn't the APR and like credit cards like way higher? How does that help you at all?
Oh yeah, man. So credit cards are like worse than the mafia, bro. It's crazy. It's like 20 to, I mean, some of them you can get them down to like 10%. And just so you guys know, like this, it's all negotiable. So you can negotiate with your credit card company to get a better interest rate. You shouldn't be paying interest, but God forbid if you're in that situation, like make sure you negotiate that. But yeah, I mean, anywhere from 10 to 30 something percent, which is outrageous. Um, so yeah, we've always used credit cards that are at 0% utilization or 0% interest. There's also other ways through manufacturer spending, which is like just moving money around on your credit cards. Most people do it for creating your own points. So therefore you can get either like free travels or cash back rewards. But if you're in debt, I would encourage somebody to try manufacturer spending so you can move the money around. So therefore you're not paying any interest or late fees and stuff like that. Because that will save you a ton right there.
Wait, so is manufactured spending like, I have a credit card that I'm paying 18% on with $10,000. I open up a new credit card with 0% for 24 months and I just put the 10 grand on that. So now I'm like not paying the 18%.
No, that's no, that would be considered like a balance transfer almost.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is awesome. And I encourage people to, educate yourself on that because that's what I originally started off doing, certain techniques similar to that. But manufacturer spending is, I have a YouTube video on this that like goes deeper into it, but let me give you the quick version of, okay, so manufacturer spending, if you use your credit card, say your Chase credit card has 10 grand on it, you purchase $10,000, like you max it out by buying a Visa debit gift card, right? And then you take that those debit gift cards and you liquidate them into money orders. Like you purchase money orders with them. With the money orders, you end up putting into your bank account. And then at that point, you can just pay off that credit card originally. So it's a big circle. And in doing so, you just created, say Chase doesn't offer 3% cash back. The most you're going to get is like 1.5. But in this scenario, but say it was a 3% cash back credit card. We have other techniques. You could get up to 6 or 8% cash back doing this. So that can add up. It's all about volume. You want to do 100 or 200,000 or more. I've done a lot at this point. So the more you do, it's just a big circle that you can move the money around and you create all those points for free, which free travels or cash back money in your pocket. Or if you're in debt, instead of paying back off that original credit card, you could pay off maybe another credit card that has high debt and it's about to have its statement closing date in another day or two. And then you're going to get, a bunch of interest fees. You might as well pay that one off. And then afterwards it clears on the statement closing date, 0 balance. It reports to the 3 bureaus in good standing, 0 balance, and it helps out your credit score. And then you can manufacturer spend on that one to be able to pay off the original because it only reports once a month at the statement closing date, every 30 days. It can get a little confusing, I know.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I'm going to have to listen to this again.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
It does sound great. I know we've done some stuff with to get free travel points and there's tons of hacks out there that you can do with credit cards and credit.
Yeah, so I encourage you to check out my YouTube channel. It's Brandon Elliot Investments, and there's a section on there. There's a video that talks about manufacturer spending, and I go a little bit more into detail and pictures a little bit, instead of just verbal, which helps out.
Yeah, and we'll put that video link in the show notes because this is definitely like a visual thing.
Yeah, it is.
But so with business credit though, why is having a business credit so much better than having personal credit?
Yeah, because for 2 reasons. You can get a hell of a lot bigger credit lines. You can get huge credit lines. And then second, I guess almost three reasons, right? So second, you can also, you just stay more organized, right? Like at the end of the day, it's going to be a lot more cleaner. It should be, instead of commingling and so forth. It's just best to keep it separated. And God, I'm shooting a blank. What was the third here?
Is there like liability protection? Like they can't come after your personal assets?
Oh yeah, so I was gonna say the third is basically, which is probably the most important, is that it's not going to show up on your personal, and your personal should keep it by itself personal, so that you can get your personal things, right? If you're doing, like, for me personally, one of the issues that I came up with originally on my first property, taking out that original 60 grand, is when I went to finalize the cash out refinance, like the BRRRR strategy, the end part, it was difficult for me because I had a huge balance. Like, how am I supposed to do that when my utilization's so high and my score the last 6 months just took like a huge dive? Utilization makes up 30% of your FICO, so that was a big learning curve.
Yeah, I bet. Can anyone open a business line of credit, like when they're just starting out, or do you have to work on your personal credit before doing that?
Yeah, so business credit is it's kind of like its own separate beast. It really comes down to either you can personally guarantee, and that would entail like having good personal credit. You can have collateral, which is, assets and so forth. Or you can have good tax returns. You can show that your business is making money the last 2 years. So any of those three is kind of like the catalyst that will allow you to get business credit. Now, somebody that's just getting started, there's ways that you can escalate this process by just making your business credit profile very attractive and make it look very, very good. And that's what we show people in Credit Counsel Elite. It all comes down to your first steps are focusing on your foundation. Make, just like a house, it's make sure your foundation is very wide. Your SEO is on point. So when a bank goes to Google you, it pops up the whole first page. It's not hard to find you. If it is hard to find you, or if your name is difficult or all these other things, it's a red flag. Every time you get a red flag, you don't need many for them to just be like, all right, this just sounds a little too tough. So you want to make sure your foundation is great and you can be seen everywhere. The SEO is on point. And then secondly, you want to get as many trade lines reporting on all three of the business bureaus as possible. After that, if you have, your first goal should be getting 10 trade lines reporting on all three of the business bureaus, as well as $10,000 reporting on all three. At that point, you're in good shape because your credit profile looks good. There's 10 different companies that trust you, and then they've given you lines up to $10,000, and you've, on the credit profile, it looks like it's all in good standings. Therefore, you can go to small banks at that point, small local credit unions and so forth, by searching on the SBA, and just find the ones that give out the most money, searching on the SBA online. And, a lot of them will do low to no docs because your personal, like your business credit profile looks so good.
And what's a trade line?
Yeah, great question. So trade line is like, it's another word for an account. So on personal, you would have like credit cards or retail cards or a mortgage, auto loan, personal loan, student loan. Those are the 6 for personal. And then for business, it can be equipment, gas cards, like fleet cards, credit cards, store accounts, stuff like that.
And so for the 10 trade lines, does it matter if it's for the personal side or the business side, or can it be both?
No. So when it comes down to business credit, there's no more personal. They might personally guarantee it, meaning if they ask for your social, and sometimes they ask for that anyway, just so that they can understand that like you are a a U.S. citizen. And you want to avoid that as much as possible. Not give your personal like FICO or your personal social. Try to avoid that, and surprise, like they won't ask for it again, or they will approve you if your business credit looks good, So yeah, if it's separated, like the personal is never going to jump onto the business.
Well, this is all fascinating. I can see how you could definitely leverage this to, really buy some expensive properties.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're looking for just income producing ones for sure. But out here they are expensive.
Mhm. Well, Brandon, I wanted to get to our last section of the show that we call the Fast Five. And it's the same 5 questions we ask everyone. So if you're ready, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 1 is, if you were in your early 20s and you had to start all over again, how would you do that?
Yeah, I'm in my early 30s now, but
you can't tell.
Yeah, I know. I got the baby face. Whenever I coach somebody just getting started or interested in real estate investing, I tell them the exact same thing I tell everybody. There's 30 plus ways out there to make money in real estate. So educate yourself on every single one. And I'm not talking like, go to school and get like really crazy deep into it, but take 15, 20 minutes to understand from beginning to end what this particular strategy looks like, and figure out at the end of the day, after diving into all these, take a couple days to read the books or just YouTube, understanding it just quickly, see what you resonate with, see what your time allows, like your money management allows, your resources, like figure out what actually makes sense to you. And then afterwards, dive into just that education. There's so much going on the internet and social media, and so many distractions, long story short. So if you're not laser beam focused on getting fully educated on just that one strategy, then you're going to jump ship, because it's not going to be easy. But especially when you're, checking out somebody's wholesaling now, and they make it look so easy. They're crushing it, you just got to laser beam focus. So that's what I recommend. And every time that somebody actually, puts their ego aside and really does focus on it, like quick results, which is awesome.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, love that answer. How do you see young professionals adding the most value to experienced investors?
Sorry, what was it?
How do you see young professionals adding the most value to experienced investors?
Yeah. It's a good question. So, I used to like, taking out a lot of people to coffee, and I used to promote that as well to people. But you get to a point where if you really want to get up the chain and get somebody that is really crushing it or super successful, and they're not going to give you the time of day to, like, you could be living at Starbucks with how many people want to buy you coffee. So it needs to be, it gets to a point where figuring out what the person that you want to learn from the most, what they're struggling with, and then try to find the solution, try to solve the problem for them, and then surprise them with it. Try to jump in there, understanding like personality types, body language, understanding love languages, like gift, like all these different things, what makes them fulfilled, and try to, win them over, but figure out what they're struggling with and try to solve that problem. And that's going to unlock something that, they're going to start opening up to you and give you whatever you need at that point. So being a servant, giver, a servant leadership turns into just, rewards coming back to you for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. We actually had one other person say, they're like, I helped train this guy's like kids for soccer. Had nothing to do with the real estate, but his kids wouldn't play soccer.
Yeah.
So that's how he had value.
Yeah, exactly. And something like that, like, I don't have kids, but I'm sure like if somebody gave something to my kids that like made them feel special, that's going to make me feel special, right? So it's just, that's a smart move.
Yeah. So question number 3 is, what's the biggest mistake you've made in your career, and how have you since adjusted your business?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've made several mistakes, and it all comes down to legal paperwork. It's always been legal paperwork and trusting certain people, even if it's like, I've done business with best friends as money partners. Obviously, I've never had any issues with best friends, thankfully, but I've had relationships that have bit me in the ass at the end of the day that, you would think almost like, wow, we're going to be best friends sooner than later. And it's just, it's, you never know what the mindset or the mischievous like type of things that are going on behind the scenes. So yeah, just make sure no matter how big the smile is from the other person across the table, it's like, make sure that the legal documents are legit. Make sure you get them reviewed by a lawyer, and make sure things are recorded. Don't be a fool and just have, a DocuSign. Make sure that sucker gets recorded so that you're not wasting your time, energy, and your money, your hard-earned, work money.
When you say recorded, do you mean with like the county?
Yes. That's the only place that it counts. Yes.
John loves legal work.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 4. What's been your favorite way to incorporate technology and social media into your business?
Yeah. So I'm not a tech savvy person whatsoever. I'm actually pretty pumped about this, truthfully, not to get cocky or anything, but I feel like the last couple of years, jumping, just being forced into business more, I'm getting a little bit more savvy with being, tech stuff. So I don't want to say that I'm not that tech savvy anymore. I can jump on an email pretty quick at this point, which is cool. But, social media has helped out with personal branding. It takes a lifetime to like build up a reputation and show people what you're about, your morals, what you're trying to accomplish, and people, it can be quick to tear it down, right? So you want to make sure that your true side, your true colors are always at the front, and at the end of the day, just showing people what you're doing and consistency. Like consistency is what people respect at the end of the day, because consistency is the tough part. Like showing up every day, going to the gym, it's like, yeah, you can show up a couple days a week and yeah, it's cool, but you showing up every day and doing a live or something every single day, it's like, I don't know you, I don't care for you, but I got respect for you, and I'll start watching your videos now because you're showing up every day, and I saw you like a year ago doing the same thing, and you're doing something that I'm not. So it's like natural respect. I want to see what this guy's doing. And it just starts building a following, and we've helped out a lot of people by networking that way. We've, and both ways, like we've raised a lot of money into our deals and made it a win-win situation for people through social media, our personal brand. So I highly recommend, and I'm naturally introvert, just to be honest. Like I'm not, when I'm in small settings, like I can be more outgoing, but yeah, I'm naturally the guy that I don't want all attention on me by any means.
I would not have taken you for an introvert.
Nobody does, man. I'm telling you, after this, I'm going to be drained. I'm going to like need a long-term nap after this because I'm giving it my all. But yeah, it's you got to push yourself out of the comfort zone. And if you do it consistency, enough, then after a while, it's those fears and all those other things start getting, breaking off your life, which is awesome.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you just said. That was all great.
By long-term nap, you mean sleep, right?
Yeah, forever. Take a long-term nap right now. Sleep.
Well, hold up a sec. We got one more question.
One more. Okay, let's go.
So what book has been most influential to you along your journey? And it could be like a documentary, a movie, something like that. It doesn't have to be a book.
This is a good question. I got a great book. Oh, I don't know what it is. It's okay. So it's by Frank Gallinelli. I'm probably butchering that name so bad, but anyway, it's a long title. It's like the 36 key factors.
36 financial metrics like every real estate investor should know about cash flow. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for saving me on that one.
I know it's a long name.
It's a great
It's
book.
a good one though. It's very analytical and it could put some people out there to sleep. But I think it's needed for like understanding what the hell you're getting into. Like it's a lot of math. And you just need to know that there's a lot of acronyms in this business and a lot of different numbers to understand. So I think it's important. It helped me out a lot, I believe.
No, it's a great book.
Very dry book, so it could put you in that long nap.
Yes, it could. Yeah. If I find the book right now, I'll jump into a page and finish it off today.
Yeah, do story time.
Yeah, story time.
Well, Brandon, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on today's episode of the Millennials and Multifamily Podcast. What's the best way for our listeners to connect with you and learn more about you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I appreciate you guys so much for having me. I had a blast with you guys, honestly. So had a great time. But if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can always do so. Follow me on Instagram. So it's Brandon Elliot Investments, and shoot me a DM. Otherwise, facebook.com/Brandon Elliot Investor. If you need any credit repair done for you, then you can check out creditrepairmobile.com. Or if you're looking to get educated in anything related to credit, how to fix your own credit or build up big credit lines very quickly and leverage that successfully into real estate or any business, then Credit Counsel Elite would be the spot to check out. But yeah, just reach out. Would love to connect with each and every one of you guys. And I also want to give all the listeners and you guys a free gift if I may. I know.
Yeah, we love free gifts.
Stuff.
Yeah. Cool. So I didn't have time. I didn't even think about this. We didn't come up with a special code, but anyway, you'll get to it. So if you check out www.freecreditgift.com/red, or you could do blue, but red, we'll just say red for you guys. Then you can get it's a portion of my course on the very low level, but it's like stuff that should be taught in school. It goes over the 6 boxes that make up your FICO and just understanding how the banks, how the lenders are judging you. So therefore, you know how to play the game a little bit more and aren't like caught by surprise like I was when I took out my $60K and I was trying to do a cash out refinance at that point. I was like, what, So once you're educated on the 6 boxes, then I like to think of like credit and real estate, like Monopoly, like the game. Once you're educated on the rules, then you can start playing,
Totally agree with that.
Yeah. But I appreciate you guys so much for having me. I had a blast, like I said. So if anybody wants to reach out, would love to. But yeah, you guys are awesome. So keep doing what you guys are doing for sure.
Well, thanks so much, Brandon. This was a blast for us too.
Thank you for listening to the Millennials in Multifamily Podcast, brought to you by Kronos Investment Partners. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a rating and a written review at iTunes so that we can connect with more people. Finally, head on over to kronosinvestmentpartners.com and sign up for our newsletter so you can stay updated on everything we're doing. If you're interested in partnering with us as we find new opportunities, you can also schedule a phone call with us under the Contact Us tab at kronosinvestmentpartners.com.